Confessions of a Hypnotist, If Walls Could Talk. Hey there, everyone. If you're new to me, welcome to the conversation. If you're not new to me, welcome back. My name is Dan Candell. I'm known worldwide as the Anxiety Relief Guy, and I am here in my office where I just had a follow-up session with somebody who was in my group program and opted to do a few individual sessions as well. And I'm going to crack the code, or I'm going to help you crack the code as to how I used more of a traditional form of hypnosis to help this particular client. Now, first and foremost, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I don't really practice traditional older styles of hypnosis. I am not your everyday, ordinary, average hypnotist. For many of the problems that people come in with that are usually different forms of anxiety, intrusive thoughts, worrying about things, mostly on like the high functioning side, like people who have high functioning anxiety, like they are still doing pretty well for themselves, even though they have this background of doubt or worry that's going on. Those are usually the people I work with. So I want to share with you, this particular client came in and he owns a string of businesses in New England and he's doing really well for himself. Well, he came in through my group program. So he signed up for my group program. He had he was just really stressed out with managing all the businesses he had. So I helped him through that, but he said, Dan, over the past 2 years, I've developed this weird pain in my body. And so it was pretty interesting because I said, well, just go through some of the clearings that I do in my group program, and that should help with that physical pain. And it didn't. And I'll be the first one to tell you that not all things work for all people. So we even dove into the body keeps the score, how the reason why we have physical discomfort is it's usually a symptom of some unresolved emotion that our body is carrying on, and physical emotional discomfort can oftentimes be translated as physical discomfort in our body. And this is seen to be true with a lot of psychosomatic illnesses or pains, such as fibromyalgia is one of them. Irritable bowel syndrome is usually something that's predominantly caused by heightened anxiety and stress levels. So for many people who have physical discomfort, there's usually some benefit that they're getting from that physical discomfort because it's trying to solve an emotional problem. And that was exactly what happened with this client. So this client came in for a series of 3 or 4 individual sessions after they came into my group, specifically to work with this physical discomfort and some of the anxiety and trauma that surrounded it. This person, he had gone to a therapist as well. The therapist also agreed. I think this is a manifestation of some type of mental or emotional trauma that you've had. This person has also gone to every single doctor that you can imagine, and they have been cleared that there's nothing physically wrong with them. So when I started working with this client, I was using a bunch of different interventions that I use in a more of a waking, non-traditional hypnosis modality. So for example, I was doing parts integration with this person. Helped them align some things that need to be aligned in their mind, but they didn't get the relief that they were looking for. I used metaphor as well. Again, didn't give them the relief that they were looking for. I had them change their physical discomfort and pain into what we call submodalities. So I had them break it down to and give it physical characteristics, and then change those characteristics to feel better. I guided this person into their mental control room and had them turn down the physical discomfort and turn up physical comfort. I even had them talking to their pain and having a conversation with the pain. And none of that worked. None of it worked. And it didn't mean it didn't work for other things. Other things were starting to fall into place for this person. However, it wasn't working with the physical discomfort. A person came back for a follow-up session, and in the previous session, we had used more of a traditional form of hypnosis, which I'll explain in a moment. And this is why it's really important to take a client-centered approach to really also if you're working with a hypnotist or a specialist, to make sure they're well versed in many different modalities. So this person said, hey, Dan, if the things have happened, if from the last sessions that we had, if that's what I get out of this process, it was still well worth the investment of this process. I still really want to work on the physical discomfort. Perfect, got it. And you're hearing me go back and forth between saying the word pain and the word physical discomfort. The reason why is because I do believe that the more we carry on the word pain, the more deeply ingrained it becomes. And words matter. So part of the process is I get the person to change the word pain to the word physical discomfort or comfort, and we go on a comfort scale instead of a pain scale. So what did we do in the session that made all the difference? I used a more traditional form of hypnosis that is what we call pseudo regression. Now, I don't use this with everybody because I don't have to. And I don't like to use this with everybody as a first line of defense because it doesn't always work for people. And it's really interesting because if this regression, or I should say if the other modalities that I'm using doesn't work with a person, then this modality will. If this modality doesn't work for a person, I know the other stuff that I do is more likely to hit and help a person. So, what did I do? After all the other things that I used, which again will normally work for a person, that didn't work in the way that he wanted it and intended to work. Like I said, he got a lot more out of it, but it didn't really work for the physical discomfort. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be something else here. So I hypnotized the person and I said, we're going to go back as an observer, an onlooker, or a witness, as if you're like watching through the window what caused these feelings of physical discomfort. So we actually, in their subconscious mind, they were able to recall 2 or 3 times that at first, like the first one didn't seem like it had anything to do with physical discomfort, because this person said, my father basically said when I was having an uncomfortable emotional time, basically he said, like, suck it up and deal with it, and if you don't, I'll give you something to really cry about. Then we went back to another time where this person witnessed a family member get hurt, and this person, when they were younger, my client, was then criticized for not stepping up and helping. And again, this person, when we went back to that experience, they were only like 4, maybe 5 years old. So this person had all these perceptions of memories and events that happened to them. And this is another reason why you want to work with a qualified professional, because at first glance, you might say, well, what does getting yelled at by a parent have to do with physical discomfort? What does being yelled at by another family member, criticized by another family member, have to do with physical discomfort? You've got to know how the subconscious mind works, and you've got to be able to string all of these events together. And so I was able to do that. I was able to find the common thread that strung all of these events together, which told me why he has the physical discomfort that he was having and experiencing. So what strung it all together was the false reality that this person had created in his mind that said, if a person is hurt, then other people will stand up for them and care about them more. So guess what happened? About 2 years ago, this person had an argument with one of their employees that became like a family member to them. And it resulted in a falling out. And right after that falling out, that's when this person started to have crippling pain that held them back from many other areas of their life. So he wasn't able to do his job. He wasn't able to do the things that he really enjoyed doing. But the people he wanted to care for him stepped up their game. They supported him. They cared for him. So that's what we call secondary gain. Secondary gain is an underlying unconscious benefit that we get from having a problem. Now, of course, you might say, well, if I have physical pain, there's no benefit for having physical pain. And there really is, but it's a psychological underlying benefit that is given to us by our unconscious or subconscious mind, depending on which school you follow of hypnosis. So what I was able to do is walk this person through re-educating that younger version of themselves by providing them with updated insight and knowledge that helped them really change the past. So we worked on changing the past. Then I helped them do forgiveness of all the people that wronged them or hurt them or caused them pain. And part of that process was I put them also in the minds of those people that caused them the pain, so they could just see some reasoning behind it. And then I had them do forgiveness of self. Forgiveness of self because they carried on this feeling of discomfort unknowingly and for way too long, and way longer than they should have. And not only physical discomfort, but also emotional discomfort as well. What were the results of doing this? Well, first, at the end of the session, he opened up his eyes and he was like, oh my gosh. He was teary-eyed, and he said, oh my gosh, I went back to like so many places that I totally forgot that stuff happened to me. And he's like, I didn't even think about that. And I didn't even realize that's what caused the problem that I'm having today. Yeah, it was. And I broke it down for him, and I explained how and why it can cause the problems that we have in adult life, because we're often trying to solve adult problems with childlike resources. Follow-up session. Guess what happened? Over the course of 7 days, this person felt less and less of that pain, less and less of that physical discomfort. And this person felt truly loved and supported by the people around him, because he started to step back into his life. He started to get back into his businesses. He started managing his businesses better, which meant people were stepping up to the plate to care for him in a true, authentic way that had nothing to do with physical discomfort or pain. So it was a beautiful result that we got from doing more of a traditional form of hypnosis. Now, yes, I am also known for often poo-pooing on more traditional forms of hypnosis, because I really do, from what I've seen in my practice and from updated research that's been being done with neuroplasticity and the way the mind works and how memory is very plastic. By updated research that's been done, we don't need to slam somebody into a trance or to relax somebody into a hypnotic trance and then to do all of this flowery work and everything like that. We don't have to do that. Most of the time we can do it conversationally and we can do it organically. However, there are a lot of people that still do respond very well to traditional methods. It's just not all methods work for all people all the time. And anyone that totes or promotes, oh, this works, this one thing works with 100% of the people 100% of the time, they're either deceiving themselves or they're deceiving you. So that's why it's really important to go to a practitioner that, number one, knows what they're doing, knows a variety of techniques, and doesn't stick with just one thing. So I've worked with many clients who have seen other hypnotists, other therapists who are other coaches, and they say, Dan, I went to this person, and I asked what their experience was, and they're like, well, they were only trained in this one modality, and they use this one thing that they use with all of their clients, and it just didn't work with me. In hearing that experience, I know exactly why. I can usually gain the insight into why it didn't work with that person and what to do that will work with that person. And fortunately, I've had so many people in my group program that have said, Dan, like, I've done things like this before and it didn't work with that person, but it works with you because of the sense of community and support that you foster. And that's a beautiful thing for me to hear. And I love hearing that. And that's why I do switch up my strategies and techniques, and I do my very best to keep an open mind when I'm working with people as well, so I can deliver the change or the tools that are going to help them get the change and the results that they want to get. Now, still, does my method work for 100% of the people 100% of the time? No, it doesn't, because sometimes there are other factors that are beyond my control or beyond their control And I'll dive into that in another video of some of the factors that are beyond what I could do to help a person, or what really anybody could do to help a person. So with that said, my friends, I hope this resonated with you, and sometimes it can be beneficial to go back to the basics. And the more traditional form of hypnosis that I used with this one particular client, it's one that I started my practice with, and it's one that I have done literally 20 years ago. And I did it on hundreds and hundreds of clients, and it worked for hundreds and hundreds of people. But again, as people's minds develop, and as we learn new modalities, new strategies, and new techniques, often we can provide techniques and strategies that will serve our clients better. So that's why it's really important, not just as a client to maintain an open mind, as a practitioner, maintain an open mind and be open to all possibilities as well. With that said, if you do want to explore working with me, usually what I do is I put people into my group, and then if you want to book private sessions from there, you usually can. We do offer bonuses at times where you do enroll in my group. You also get 1 or 2 sessions with me as well. So with that said, the link below to find out more is, there's a link below this video to find out more. So I hope this helped. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are, and happy healing.